Hello.
Good
Welcome to
morning.
Kindly Neurodivergent with Kay. This show is to spend quality time with each other, kindly discussing the similarities and wide range of differences we experience. The experiences we discuss on this show are for educational purposes only. Please do not substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Before we begin, I respectfully request that if you witness any pauses during this show, please continue watching. I'm composing a spontaneous comment or question, someone processing their thoughts, in addition to repeating something that was unintelligible or misunderstood. It is natural discourse, and we can choose not to say anything while this is occurring. Today, I have Aimee Celozzi with me. She is here to discuss how to make memories while traveling with a neurodiverse person. Her son and I do therapeutic horseback riding at the same barn. We even had lessons together. Aimee Celozzi is a wife and mom of 3 kids. Ella, 17, Naya, 16, and Chase, 14. She worked as a special education teacher for 15 years before resigning to focus on her travel business. Aimee has been dancing since she was born and in 2023 started a dance studio. She is the co-owner of Legacy Dance Company in Beacon Falls. She became part owner of Travel 4 Days LLC in 2024, where she helps families create vacation memories. Aimee's youngest has ASD and has been traveling since he was 18 months. This provides Aimee with first-hand experience of traveling with a neurodivergent family member. She values making memories, and traveling has always been part of her family's lives. Welcome, Aimee.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Please introduce yourself.
My name is Aimee Celozzi, and Kayla gave me a beautiful introduction. All of those things are true. I'm a former school teacher. And while I was teaching, I decided that I wanted to start selling travel. So I did it on the side, kind of for fun, my own kind of mental health therapy, helping other people plan vacations. So probably like 10 years down the road, a couple of the girls that I work with and we started our own business. So now we're here. I'm a busy mom and wife. I have 3 wonderful teenagers who keep me very busy. And like you said, I am a dance teacher. I own a dance studio. So I get to do all the things that I love on a daily basis, hang out with my family, plan vacations for people, and teach dance. So I'm a very lucky person. So thank you for letting me share my adventures with you.
I'm Kayla Ireland. I have cerebral palsy. What is the difference between a traveling consultant and agent?
So, on paper, when you look it up, definition wise, a travel consultant is someone who gives you advice on travel, and an agent is someone who books travel for you. I like to think that I do a little bit of both because I do a lot of research for families. If they have a destination they would like to go to, I look at hotels and transportation and the best way for them to get there. So I feel that I do a little bit of both. But that is basically the difference. The consultant is the one who advises on the travel, and the agent is the one who actually books the travel.
What kind of traveling do you assist people with?
So when I first started, I only sold Disney World travel because I was busy with teaching, so that's all that I could handle really with my job and my life. But right now, I could plan trips anywhere around the world. I am very fortunate that I have access to do that. And if it's someplace that I haven't personally traveled, I have a wonderful team of colleagues that I work with who've traveled to a variety of destinations. So together, we have a lot of experience that we can bring to the table to help families plan a destination anywhere around the world.
Mm. Disney is definitely a hot place to go.
It is. It's a very busy place. And it used to be that different times of the year you could find it to not be busy, but now it's pretty much busy all the time. Why? You know what? I don't have a paperwork definition as to why, but I think one of the reasons why, at least for me, um, is it's just such a magical place. Like you really do get to escape from your life and you just get to be immersed in just some magic and kind of resort to being a kid for a little bit. For our family, we like to go because as Chase grew up, every time we went to Disney, he learned a new skill. His very first trip, we were standing in line waiting for a ride, and he learned all the signs to wheels on the bus. And then, like another trip, he learned how to point, and another trip, he learned some words, and another trip, he learned to eat yogurt. So for us, it was just always a really cool place for him to learn and experience new things in a different environment. My aunt is a former special ed teacher, and she actually, when she retired, she worked at Disney. And she was like, "You need to get a grant to come here all the time because Chase learns so much when he's here." So for us, not only is it a wonderful place to vacation and we just truly enjoy ourselves and get to unplug, but it's nice to watch him grow and learn. It's also been helpful because going to the same spot, my oldest has a bit of anxiety. And our rule for her when we travel to Disney is you have to try something you haven't done before. So you have to try it scared. And then if you get off the ride or whatever it is and you don't like it, you could say that you don't like it, but you can't say you don't like something till you try it. So going to Disney has allowed us to give her that opportunity to take those risks in a safe, comfortable place. So now she does a whole lot more. So it's just been a real beneficial place for us. And I think that it is magical for whatever kind of family you have. That experience is beneficial. So you get to unplug and enjoy yourselves and just be together.
Did the pandemic make it busier all year round?
You know, I feel like after the pandemic, I think definitely travel picked up all over the place. I do think that contributes to it because everyone was cooped up for so long that now they're looking for a way to get out. And I think that people, it kind of made you to have a different perspective on the world and like you don't know what's going to happen. So kind of take that leap and take advantage of opportunities as they come.
Why do you think Chase learned on vacation?
I think because the environment is so stimulating, like, and there's just so much to see and do. And as a family, everyone's not in a million different directions. We're all together, we're all in one place, and we're all interacting, and there's no distractions. So we get to just focus on each other. So I think and I'm sure you could relate to this. I find that neurodivergent people are a little bit more sensitive to emotions and stressors of even other people. And I think being in Disney, feeling us being relaxed allows him to relax. And again, no scientific proof for that, but that's just from my experience, what I feel happens. And so if we're all in a place of being focused and relaxed, it allows him to also do that. We also don't ever stand in line somewhere for an hour and have to focus on one thing for a long period of time. So it also gives us a different use of time.
Mm.
And I'm so sorry. My allergies are so bad today. My eyes are all watery. One warm day.
It is super hard to get the family relaxed without having any responsibilities.
Yes, it's almost impossible when you're home.
How far out in advance should families start reaching out to you?
So it really depends. Ideally the earlier the better, depending on where you want to go. Cruises, the earlier you book, the cheaper the vacation is. So it's always good to book those well in advance. Other vacations, as long as there's availability at the resort, I have a lot of last minute clients, so I'm very comfortable with booking something last minute because we all know how life is. Sometimes that's better. So ideally, I would say for a cruise, a year in advance, and for other trips, a good 6 months of planning. But I have turned over trips in a week or 2 weeks, depending on what people need and when they can find that they could go. So we can make magic happen here. So whatever works. And you know what? I think families are different. Some families like to plan in a year in advance. Some are so busy and have a lot of stressors in their life that they can't think about that until like right before it's time to go. So it's really about what's best for your family. When it comes to travel in general, it has to meet your needs and your comfort level. So really what is best for you? I am open to have a conversation about travel at any time. And then when you're ready to book, that's when we move through with what's going on. I think there's factors, if you want to be able to pay for your vacation over time, booking it early allows you to make those small payments so it's not happening all at once. So, like I said, so many different factors that play into it. It's really what's best for you and your family. And having a conversation with a travel advisor will help you decide what that best fit is.
Especially with therapy and school life is busy.
Yes. And it's hard. It's hard to fit it all in. Like right now, my life is run by soccer. My middle daughter plays soccer year round, and it's always like, well, I don't know if she'll have a game. I don't know if we win this tournament, we go here. So we just wait and then we go on vacation when the dust settles.
What obstacles besides wheelchair accessibility can you address?
So, like we know, every family who has a neurodivergent member, it's different for everybody. So I really try hard to address whatever the needs are of your family. We could address mobility. Like I've worked with hearing impaired people. I At the dance studio, I have a family that's visually impaired. I've worked with ASD. I mean, there's just all everybody, because I feel like we all have a little bit of neurodivergence, traveling with ADD, traveling with anxiety. So all of those things are real life things that we encounter. And I do my best to help whatever it is that your family requires. Even if you don't know that you have a neurodivergent, like you might not have someone that you think of as neurodivergent, but I work with a lot of families that have severe food allergies. That's a scary, real thing that needs to be addressed. So there is a plethora of things that I can help you with. And again, I'm not an expert, but I enjoy investigating and I want you to have a good time. So I try really hard to meet your family where they're at. And we come up with a vacation that meets your needs and whatever those are.
Gluten free.
Yeah, gluten free. So what I've learned, like one of the girls that I own the agency with is actually has a severe gluten allergy. So Disney World, wonderful with gluten allergies. Disneyland, it's not as easy. So that's another thing that I enjoy about my job is I work with so many different people and we encounter different things that we are able to bring all that to the table and share with a family. Like I had one family who the boys have allergies. It's like to six different things. Like you can't even cook in the same area. And Universal was wonderful. Like bought them an air fryer so that they could cook in a separate place, got them special chicken nuggets, like amazingly accommodating. And those are the things that I am also learning as I, you know, meet these families who have these different needs. So it's really nice. And it's good experience for me because I'm learning how to help more and more people when different types of families come looking for a vacation.
What destinations are the most accessible and or accommodating?
So, from my experience, being very truthful, Disney used to be one on my top list for most accommodating. Unfortunately, because people abused the system and weren't always truthful about their family's needs and restrictions or requirements, they've kind of changed things a little bit. So it's not always as easy. Disney World is definitely mobility more friendly as far as access to being able to get into the queues and stuff than Disneyland is. I have been recently traveling to Sandals. I do enjoy watching what happens there because that's the other thing too. Sometimes when I go on vacation, I'm just observing what's going on around me to kind of see. And I love that they have beach friendly wheelchairs. So I think that's just such a cool accommodation that everyone gets to get to the water. You're not restricted to staying by the pool. I thought that was very cool. Um, Universal has a really nice program as far as accessibility. It's a little bit more work to get the accessibility because you have to actually get a letter from your doctor and kind of go through the steps to show that you do need
The
some
change is
assistance.
unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. I think it's sad. And I will tell you as a family, I have a neurodivergent child and we didn't always apply for the disability pass because if Chase could wait in line and he could make it, we didn't want to take that space from someone else who needed it. And it was only on the days that we were really struggling that we would use that. Because I feel like that's part of it is acknowledging when you need the help and when sometimes you don't, because we all want to be treated just like everybody else. And I think that that's a big deal. Um, I find that a lot of Marriott hotels have real nice accessibility and that's just from, booking online and kind of seeing what's going on. Disney Cruise Line does a really nice job. Royal Caribbean does a really nice job of working with families who have specific needs. So I think it's out there and you can find it. And those I think would be my top beaches, which is Partners with Sandals. It's the family version of that resort. Does a really nice job. They have specifically started a program to work with ASD family members. So it's not just kids, they service up to like age 25 so that you can get a break and you know that your loved one is cared for in an environment with someone who understands them, because I think that's so very important. And I think a lot of families have that hesitation about going somewhere because you just don't know how someone's going to treat your kid or your family member. And it's scary. But when we went on the Disney cruise for the first time, Chase was a little bit older. He was probably like 9. And I was worried about putting him in the kids club because he doesn't do well with loud noises and crowds, and kids who don't follow directions are all triggers for him. But he did so great. And when I would go to pick him up, he was like, "You have to come get me." Like he was sad to leave. And it was so nice to see him be successful in on his own in a room of new people and learning new things and having a good time and being independent, and he was okay and it was great, so it's a little bit of trial and error and learning as you go, and what works for my family might not work for yours, but then we come back and reflect and we're like, okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't work, and how can we make it better for next time.
Beach wheelchairs aren't easy to get through small gates.
No. And when they zigzag, you can't turn the corner. Disneyland has changed the program a little bit though, where now you can get a signed pass and come back at a later time and they'll bring you through a back entrance. But even that is still a little bit, it's not always smooth, So I think that unfortunately a lot of these places were built before we were really aware of inviting these people to be part of everyday life, unfortunately. And so it's taking places time to catch up with the needs of our community.
How do we modify physical barriers such as lack of ramps, narrow doorways, and inaccessible attractions?
That is tricky. That
Modify
really
physical barriers such as lack of
what it comes down to, I think, is finding the funding so these people can rebuild what they need to rebuild, because that's what it comes down to is the buildings are built and they've been there for a long time and it's very costly to redo things, and I think that is a big barrier as to why everything isn't as accessible as it should be.
agreed. What services can help alleviate stress while traveling?
So working with someone like me can help alleviate stress, not only with the planning process, but I also like if your kid is having a meltdown and you're in the middle of some vacation spot, it's nice to know you have someone that you can call that understands what that feels like, because unfortunately, all of the world doesn't get it and they don't know what is happening and how you're feeling. So it's just nice to have a person to reach out to. There are programs like TSA Cares, which is how you can make life a little smoother at the airport. You can sign up ahead of time, someone meets you, they take you through security so that you don't have to take your shoes off and get out of your wheelchair and do all of those things. For us, it was a game changer because Chase is okay with it now, but when he was little, taking all the stuff out of his backpack, like his Switch or his computer or his Kindle or whatever it was he had at that time, really, really upset him. And I didn't know about the program when he was really little. And when I learned about it and we used it the first time, just the stress of him not having to take everything out of his bag made our travel day that much better. And like I said, now he doesn't really need to use it. He understands that they're not taking his stuff because he's older. But having that is really, really helpful. JetBlue has wonderful social stories online about airplanes and flying and things like that for kids and adults who need that reminder. Um, and just the internet is a wealth of knowledge. Like I have a love-hate relationship with Google, but I definitely find that there's things that you can learn. I have done a lot of support groups working with Sun, Moon, and Stars in Watertown, doing travel presentations about how to make it less stressful, being prepared, knowing it's not going to go the way that you think it's going to go. Like I'm always prepared for the like worst case scenario, and then everything seems to go okay because I know that these are the things that could happen. And most important, just meeting your family where they are. Like if at 10 o'clock everyone is all done, then we're all done and we're going back to the room, or we're going to sit and take a break and have a snack. It's really about that awareness of what you and your family needs and kind of tuning out the rest of the world and doing what's best for you guys.
I get a pat down every time. We call it my massage.
I like your attitude about it because not everyone would be as positive, and that's where I think we get a lot of tension in the world because everyone doesn't look at it as being a comic relief.
We joke about it.
And I think that's the best way to handle it sometimes because if you can't find the humor in it, life is really hard, you know? And not making fun of someone, but just finding a way to make it a positive thing.
It is annoying because I could stand with assistance.
Right. And they don't always give you that opportunity to show them what you could do. And I think that's part of the world that we live in is that even with everybody, everyone doesn't get a chance to always show what they're capable of because we're in a hurry, right? Like you said, like we talked about earlier, taking that time to just pause and be present. And we don't do that in our world. And that is why we run into these situations.
Assumptions.
Yep.
Of course, this is important for everyone, but talk about the need for clear communication.
That is one thing I think that I really enjoy about my job is getting to know people and getting to know families and having an open line of communication because I can't help you plan the trip that is right for your family if we're not talking about things you like, things you enjoy. Like I want to hear about your family and what they like to do and that your son had a baseball game yesterday and I think that that's part of what I love about my job is making those connections and having those open lines of communication because I don't know what I don't know. So if I can't help you if you went to a restaurant that serves fish and your family has a fish allergy, if we didn't talk about it before you go on vacation. So I think those open lines of communication, having people feel comfortable with you to talk to you, and it doesn't have to always be a phone call or a Zoom call. Communication is email, communication is text. As long as those lines are open, I think that that's how you create the best things in the world overall. I think communication is a huge thing, and I am really big on that. And I tell all my clients, like if you think of a question or a concern, send it to me in a text. I might not be able to get right back to you instantly, but at least that question is there. And then the next time we talk or the next time we communicate, we could go over it in more depth. So I think open communication is super important.
I love roller coasters.
Yeah, good for you. I do too. Not so much spinny rides anymore now that I'm older, but I still do like roller coasters.
Please discuss how some places don't offer a spot for communication, feeding and mobility accommodations.
I think that that's just unfortunately, like we talked about before with the ramps and the not wide doorways, it's people getting accustomed that the world is encompassing of all different kinds of people. And I think that that's where we get creative. And there are places that accommodate, but then there's also ways that we can make it work. And I'm not saying that it's right that these places don't have these things. It's just we can't make the world change as fast as we would like it to. So what do we do to take baby steps to make it better for us? And then maybe afterwards we say, I had a person who went to your establishment. Did you think about A, B, and C? Because this would have helped them. And sometimes it's just people don't know because they haven't had exposure or it hasn't been part of their life. And you use it as a teachable moment. So we get creative, we solve the problem that we need to solve and accommodate and find a way to help. And then we bring awareness to the situation and hopefully it's a little bit better for the next person.
How do you address tricky demands like, be quiet?
So that is where you have to kind of get to know the client, right? Because I know that some people will wear earphones. I know like what to tell them. Like if you're going to Disney World and your kid doesn't like noise, don't stay for the fireworks. Leave the park before this time. So it's those kind of travel experiences that I have had and working with the families to kind of customize it and work around the times that would be bothersome to them.
Mm,
Did I answer your question correctly? Is that what you were asking?
mm,
Okay.
What qualities do you appreciate in a destination when booking for some vacation who can provide a memorable trip with respect to having a disability and neurodivergence?
I like to book places if I can that have awareness, that do provide accommodations, that have a place for them to go if they need a spot for a break or things like that. Um, and if it's a place that doesn't necessarily have those things, a place that's willing to work, like that family with the allergy. I had never heard of Universal being so accommodating, but when was presented with the situation, like they can't go if we don't have these things, it was nice to find someone who was willing to help and they figured out a way to make it work. So I think, obviously the places that have freestanding criteria of ways to help is great, but also those places that are willing to go out of their way to come up with a solution if they don't have one, those are the kind of places I like and I like to support. And it might be a small hotel on some island or, in a state that we just pass through. But those are where I would like to send my clients repeatedly because if I build, again, with that communication, if I build a good rapport and reputation with a place, then I want to send my clients to you because I know you're going to take care of them. So it's again, it's that communication and it's the willingness to help. And if you're not aware, being open to what you could do to be more aware.
How can we train travel locations and staff regarding the importance of disability awareness and sensitivity?
I think through people like you when we're doing things like this, like I'm hoping someplace might watch our video and go, I didn't even think about that we don't have a ramp that leads here or we don't accommodate people with allergies. Um, and I think it's just part of advocating and when we go places, making it aware of the needs of the people who are there and that hopefully those things kind of trickle into society and we can hopefully be the change.
mm.
One trip the airline broke my foldable wheelchair.
That's not good. What did you guys do?
We were on our way home.
So good thing you were on your way home because that would have been not so good if you were on your way to your destination.
We never bring my power wheelchair.
Probably for the best, right? Keep it safe.
It took several weeks for them to replace.
Yeah, that's the problem is things move slowly when it's time to replace things.
Thank you, Aimee, for doing this with me. It
You're
was
very
great to
welcome.
have you on. Please share this talk show with your family, friends, and colleagues. Everyone watching, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.